Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in 2018 and received universal acclaim by critics. Through the characters of Arthur Morgan and John Marston, players could explore the harsh world of the dying Old West, as they and the rest of the Vanderlyn gang are forced to flee from government agents. Rockstar Studios built a large open world filled with life and crammed with many things to do and discover. In part 2, I cover the state of New Hanover, where I've managed to put together as many Easter eggs, secrets, references and points of interests that I could find. If you do enjoy this video and want to see part 3, then subscribe, that way you can stay up to date on all future videos I put up. And if you do want to see part 1, where I cover Easter eggs in the state of Amberino, then I'll leave a link to that at the end of this video. Now it's time once again to journey into the world with Arthur Morgan and John Marston. Starting out in the Heartlands region, which is a mixture of rolling hills, open plains and farmlands, hides plenty of secrets to uncover. North of Horseshoe Overlook is the charred remains of what was once a vibrant forest. Within it, there's a campsite with a wagon nearby. And on a closer look at the tent, there's a burnt body curled up underneath of it, who may have perished in their sleep during this mysterious brush fire. South of Twin Stack Pass is an oil derrick that on further inspection reveals the corpse of a man lying on the platform. By reading the letter found on the body, it's revealed that Mr. Varley was the owner of this small oil business that was hindering the expansion of the much larger rival company owned by Leviticus Cornwall, and he may have been killed for it. On the side of a road is a point of interest called Register Rock, and carved all over it are the names of various fictional characters from the game. But there are also other things of interest, such as RSG-98, that refers to Rockstar Games, who are the makers of Red Dead and GTA, with the year the company was created. A. West and B. Ward refer to actors Adam West and Burt Ward, who played Batman and Robin in the 60s. As for the rock itself, this is based on the actual boulder in Massacre Rocks State Park, which has the carved signatures of Oregon Trail emigrants who stopped for the night before continuing on their journey. It even has written on the rock Oregon Wagon Train, that homages the said event. On a hill south of the Heartlands is a lone tree. From afar, it wouldn't look anything more than a normal tree, but when moving towards it, only then can you see that the tree has multiple whiskey bottles that hang from the branches. One of these, if shot down, is hiding a single gold nugget. Across the Heartland overflow, you may spot a black sheep with a ribbon around its neck that holds a gold wedding ring. But what's even stranger is that the very same sheep can be found dead in one of the huts at Guthrie Farm, alongside a dead farmer with his trousers down, suggesting that the farmer was killed for his immoral activities. In the middle of the cornfield at Guthrie Farm rests a scarecrow which has a hat that can be shot off and taken. In the Wagner family home within Emerald Ranch, the owner's daughter, Miriam, has been locked away with talk that she only appears by the window once a day at a particular time. Her story can be uncovered through some thorough investigation. A letter found on a derelict postal wagon mentions the horrible death of her boyfriend Joshua and Miriam's father keeping her isolated from everyone. Going into the abandoned saloon near the Wagner house reveals blood on the floor and bullet holes in the wall. Out back is Joshua's gravestone that mentions his shooting, all hinting that Miriam's father was somehow involved. And as for Miriam, she actually can be spotted looking out of the window of her home for a brief time. A reference to a character from the first Red Dead Redemption game can be found on the shores of Flatiron Lake, where a seemingly dead man lies beside his boat. However, the man is still alive and reveals his love for someone in his dying breath. Upon looting the letter from his body, the woman he speaks of is none other than Bonnie McFarlane. A strange event can happen when entering a building called Hani's Bethel. When first stepping inside, the place is full of skeletons in what appears to be a mass suicide. It's only after reading the letter on the table do we discover that these skeletons are a UFO cult, and the letter gives a clue that an event can be triggered around 2 AM. After waiting around this time, an alien craft will briefly appear and hover over the building. If the player either leaves the building or tries to shoot at it, then the craft will vanish back into space. In the livestock town of Valentine, there's a random event of particular interest that occurs next to the Smithfield Saloon. When passing near to the building, a distressed prostitute will call out to the character. What happens next will depend on the player's choice and whether they gain honour or lose it. When she leads them to her room, she reveals the body of a man she killed, help the woman in exchange for money, or turn her in to the sheriff for a smaller reward.
It was me or him, I swear.
The hell is this?
I gotta clean this room. Can you get rid of him, please? I'll give you all the money I got. Did you do it? Please tell me you did it.
I'm back, ain't I?
Thank you.
But if the player decides to help her remove the body, then a few days later another similar incident will occur, only now her innocence becomes more questionable.
Think they can rough up a girl? But I ain't having it. Please help me. Oh Lord, if they find me with another body. I gotta get this room cleaned up. Just get rid of the body for me, please.
Shit, this fella looks worse than the last. What the hell did you do?
A concluding event will only happen if she is arrested, whereby the prostitute is hung for her multiple acts of murder.
You will see the rule of law.
I'm not a killer. Those bastards were monsters.
This lady here, posing as a lady of ill repute, to lure innocent men,
You miserable Sal!
stabbing them to death at their most vulnerable. No need to wait. Release the floor.
Moving eastwards into the forested region of Roanoke Ridge, there's a stone cottage on a cliff that has a special item inside to collect. From the outside, it looks like an ordinary home, But when entering, it's a scene of horror, as the people who lived here were killed by a meteor that crashed through the roof. By inspecting the plume of smoke, the meteorite is the item that can be collected. A more difficult point of interest to locate is on a cliffside facing a railroad. On a closer observation, you can find the fossilized skeleton of a man embedded in the rock face. Evidence of a Viking presence on the continent can be found in an ancient tomb near to the Roanoke River bend. This burial site has a number of stone trenches, along with an altar and various collectibles. Embedded into one of the skulls next to the altar is a Viking hatchet. An ancient comb is resting underneath a skull. And close by to the comb is a Viking helmet. Northwest of the region is another meteorite that can be collected and sold on for cash. When approaching this location, there'll be a ring of trees slanting away from an opening that is revealed to be a crater. And at the epicenter of this is a large meteorite. It's likely that the one that crashed into the cottage is a breakaway piece of this space rock. And as a side note, when standing in a field between the two meteorite POIs at around 3 AM with a clear night sky, you might witness a meteor shower. Near to Ansburg are more Viking connections to the New World, along with another interesting detail. This ancient runestone has two different inscriptions on it. The one in the middle is an ancient Hebrew writing. When translated reads, "We arrived by boat. Beautiful land, gracious people, so we left them to live in peace." The second inscription is Nordic in origins, however trying to translate this inscription is more difficult, as all translations I've tried still comes out as gibberish. On the winding road east of Kamassa River, there are 4 oddly shaped trees that don't appear to have any meaning. They can each be recorded in the journal separately, and each appear to be pointing the player in a particular direction. At the end of the so-called tree trail is a mine entrance that can only be entered during the stranger mission, Wisdom of the Elders. The reason for the tree's odd appearance still remain a mystery. West of the Van Horn trading post is a seemingly abandoned house. But by climbing into the room on the second floor, you'll discover something grotesque. The room appears to be a makeshift lab full of equipment, notes, and blood. It appears that some kind of mad scientist had been trying to experiment with various animals to try to create some sort of monstrous hybrid. The end result was this humanoid creature. Nearby to the abandoned house is a hill with a pile of earth and stone built onto it that forms what is called the Serpent Mound. By climbing the tower next to it, you can get a better view. This is based on the Great Serpent Mound in Peebles, Ohio. Going to the far north of the region and getting off the beaten path east of Dover Hill, Arthur can encounter a hermit who's living inside a tree. He wears a makeshift crown and refers to himself as the King. If you linger without leaving, then the Tree King will try to throw rocks at you. Try to kill the hermit, and he'll hide inside the tree.
You didn't get me. You didn't get King Joe. Now get lost. That's enough from you.
There's another hermit encounter that can happen not too far away from Ansburg at a location called Manito Glade. This encounter is however more violent, and as the player approaches the shack, they'll get a warning to leave, stay, and the hermit doesn't hesitate to shoot them dead.
I'm not buying it, and I don't want it. I said I'm not buying it, and I don't want it. Are you deaf? Get lost. Piss off. You're dead!
Like the Viking burial site, there's another location where a melee weapon and headwear can be obtained in the abandoned military base called Fort Brennand. A Civil War knife and a Union soldier's hardy hat can be found in the basement. In the woods close to the Viking burial site, a naked feral man can be seen from afar. When he discovers the player is close by, he'll run away while he sets his two wolves on you. This encounter can happen twice before the third meeting occurs at his home within a cave. By killing the wolves, the feral man will act injured as if the wolves were connected to him in some way. By reading his old diary by the tent, it reveals that the man fled his home to live in the wild. And when exiting the cave, the feral man will spring a surprise attack, trying to kill you with his knife. In the settlement of Butcher Creek, there's a man sitting on a porch playing the banjo, who has a deformity around his neck. He's based on this real-life person. Not much is known about him outside of a few pictures, not even his name. The only thing certain is he's keen on music. At the slaughterhouse in the centre of town, there's a pig mask that can be obtained. This may be based on the character Pigsy from the 2003 game Manhunt, which was made by Rockstar North. A strange occurrence can be seen between 4 and 5 AM beneath the floorboards of this ruined shack. On a closer look, the glowing symbol is that of a pentagram, and though the locals claim there's a curse on the town, completing the stranger mission here would debunk any theory about actual curses. Perhaps it might even be a joke by the developers, as the shack with the star-shaped pentagram, when seen on the map, is placed where the letter R is, and could mean Rockstar Games. East of Butcher Creek is a shack called Roadside Brothel that has a valuable item to collect. The owner's name, along with a large painting that is probably of her likeness, can be seen on the approach toward the porch. And though the house cannot be entered, the owner's body rests on a chair next to the front door with a lockbox underneath her. Inside of it is a female fertility statue that can be sold on for cash. Another location where tragedy struck a family happened in a house called Osmond Grove. When approaching the building, we see smoke fumes coming out of the locked doors, but after breaking in, the smoke dissipates and then we can witness the full extent of what transpired. The family appear to have only died recently. And at the back of the room is the cause of their deaths. The pipe from this cooker seemed to have burst, trapping the smoke inside the locked home that caused the whole family to suffocate. One random encounter that happens at camp while in Roanoke Ridge is when a woman, who appears to be a bit unhinged, approaches the character asking to rest at their campsite for a while. She'll engage in a normal conversation before becoming unsettled by the character and runs away.
You won't even know I'm here. Oh, got myself rightly turned around out here. Oh, November, my feet, they always turn brown. So I glug some shine to keep myself warm. I woke up on a riverbank, shivering like a shitting dog. I get lost real easy. Why are you looking at me like that? Now, I don't know if I like you, mister. You got the same look my uncle has. I'll take my chances. You stay away from me.
On a hill north of the lookout tower, there's a shelter that has 4 skeletons lying inside. Except for them, there is only a bottle of rum to collect from a lockbox, and though there's no story behind what happened to them, it's a nice detail to have in the game as a reminder of the harshness of the Old West. This research facility called Dover Hill, found in the far north of Roanoke Ridge, is based on the Wardenclyffe Tower in real life. It was built for early experiments into wireless transmissions, built by Nikola Tesla, an inventor who himself was the inspiration for the character Marko Dragic. A bone-chilling event may happen within the woods north of Deer Cottage, either by day or by night if you stay there long enough. It's in fact a haunted forest, where the whispers of a long-dead couple can be heard in the wind. These are the voices of Ethel Beauchard and Eugene Hutton, and their story can be watched in certain theatres. And as a bonus for this final entry, I'll include a more general point of interest that you can find in various states. When exploring the many locations the game has to offer, you may discover out-of-place messages. Some are more harder to find than others. They are in fact cheat codes that can be entered via the settings on the pause menu screen, and these are just a sample of the many out there in the world. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Part 3 will be released shortly, so look out for that. And if you haven't yet and you want to see more content like this, then subscribe, so that way you can stay up to date on all future videos I put up. And as always, thanks to all of you who have subscribed and are helping to make this channel grow. So until the next video, bye everyone.